Sunday, August the 3rd, 2025, approximately 1937 hours, Jackson Township Police Department was dispatched to a suspicious circumstance on Fort Anthony Road in Jackson Township, Montgomery County, Ohio. The call was reference a cooler with a bad smell coming from it. At that time, they called for German Township because one of our crews was tied up. German Township got there, was able to get the tote up over the dirt hill that was behind, and at that time they were able to get the lid off of it and notice that there was a nude female inside. Once the tote was open, she was wrapped in towels and a tarp. The plastic tote had screws keeping the lid down tight.
On that night, the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office sent out our homicide division and also our evidence technicians to respond to the scene. The body was recovered by the Montgomery County Coroner's Office. The next morning, we sent detectives and EV crews back out so they can able to walk the roadway, the wood line, and the bank, looking for any additional evidence in the daylight. An autopsy was complete by the Montgomery County Coroner's Office on Monday, August 4th, and the female victim was identified as Brittany Fur Storms, 28-year-old white female. It was also discovered that she was pregnant and the baby was also deceased. This investigation led Montgomery County Sheriff's Office detectives to her last known address was down in the city of Franklin. Information gathered with Franklin PD led us to the city of Middletown. 2 suspects were identified and arrested Tuesday night, August 5th, 2025. Through the investigation, it was determined that the female, Brittany Storms, had died under suspicious circumstances. James and another person of interest, Rick Shepard, left Brittany's body in the shower of the home for several days before putting her body in the tote and driving it out to Fort Anthony Road located in Jackson Township and disposing of the body.
Served a search warrant for narcotics at 2020 Logan Avenue, being a residence of Mr. James Rothenbush. Rothenbush was detained at that time, and the search of the residence resulted in a quantity of fentanyl and some other drug paraphernalia. During the narcotic search warrant, items of interest in the death investigation were observed, and as a result of that, we obtained another search warrant for those items. I believe as a result of that investigation, the search warrant, subsequent interview of Mr. Rothenbush, he was later booked on the following charges, which is corrupting another with drugs, which is a felony of the first degree, tampering with evidence, a felony of the third.
On a cold morning in Middletown, Ohio, a driver noticed something unusual near the edge of a quiet road. A large plastic storage tote sat just beyond the gravel shoulder. It was out of place in the otherwise empty stretch, sitting alone in the open air. The container was sealed shut, but its position suggested it had not been there long. Its weight and the way it rested unevenly against the ground drew attention. The driver slowed, sensing that it might be more than simple roadside trash. Police were called to investigate. They examined the tote carefully before removing the lid. Inside, they found the lifeless body of Brittany Forstorms. She was just 28 years old and had been reported missing days earlier. The discovery confirmed she had been pregnant at the time of her death. The scene was immediately secured. Detectives documented the location, photographed the container, and began collecting evidence. Every detail, from the marks on the tote to the soil beneath it, was recorded for analysis. The container itself became central to the investigation. It was taken to a crime lab, where specialists would examine it for fingerprints, fibers, and any other trace materials that might reveal where it came from or who had handled it. Transporting the tote and its contents was done with extreme care to preserve potential evidence. Law enforcement treated it as both a crime scene and a vital clue. Its presence on a public roadway meant someone had gone to the trouble of moving it from another location. By the end of the day, Brittany's family had been notified of the discovery. The case shifted from a missing person search to a homicide investigation involving 2 victims, Brittany and her unborn child. The hunt for those responsible was now in full motion. Before we dive in, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Drop a comment below. Where are you tuning in from? What are your thoughts as this story unfolds? Your voice matters. These are real people, real tragedies, and real lessons we can't ignore. Share this video with someone you care about. It could make all the difference. Welcome to Unseen Crime Dossiers, your home for spine-chilling cases, haunting before mysteries, and deep dives into the world of crime. From jaw-dropping real-life events to groundbreaking forensic discoveries, we're here to uncover the truth behind the most gripping investigations. Step inside, examine the evidence, and lose yourself in the shadows of true crime. Detectives began piecing together Brittany Forstorm's final movements. They examined her phone records, social media activity, and surveillance footage from nearby businesses. Each source of data helped establish a clearer picture of where she had been before she disappeared. Interviews with friends and acquaintances revealed that Brittany had been in contact with two men shortly before her death, James Ruthenbush and Rick Shepard. Both names surfaced repeatedly in separate conversations, raising interest among investigators. Detectives obtained search warrants for properties linked to the men. Inside, they found items that could not be easily explained. Clothing with suspicious stains, tools, and containers resembling the one found at the roadside. Forensic testing would determine whether these matched evidence from the crime scene. Digital evidence also became critical. Messages between Brittany and the suspect were recovered, including arrangements for meeting on the day she vanished. GPS data placed both men in the general area where the tote had been discovered. Neighbors reported unusual activity at one of the locations tied to the suspects. They recalled seeing a vehicle backed up to a garage late at night, along with the sound of heavy objects being moved. These statements were recorded and added to the growing body of evidence. As the investigation progressed, law enforcement developed a timeline showing the suspect's movements from Brittany's last known location to the disposal site. Surveillance cameras along key routes provided additional visual confirmation. With mounting physical, digital, and witness evidence, police named James Ruthenbush and Rick Shepard as primary suspects in Brittany's death. Both men were taken into custody while prosecutors prepared formal charges. Police transported James Ruthenbush and Rick Shepard to the county jail immediately after their arrests. Each man was placed in separate holding cells to prevent communication. Detectives continued gathering evidence while both awaited their first court appearance. At the arraignment, prosecutors formally charged the two men with murder and related offenses. The courtroom was quiet as the charges were read aloud. Both defendants entered pleas of not guilty, setting the stage for a contested legal battle. The prosecution presented the judge with evidence gathered during the investigation. This included forensic results linking the stains on the recovered clothing to Brittany, GPS data tracking the suspect's movements, and witness statements about their activities. Defense attorneys began shaping their arguments, questioning the reliability of certain evidence and the credibility of some witnesses. They filed motions to suppress specific materials, aiming to limit what could be shown to a jury. The judge scheduled a series of pretrial hearings to address these motions. During each session, both sides presented legal arguments and submitted documents. Media outlets closely followed the proceedings, reporting every development to public. As the trial date approached, jury selection became a crucial process. Potential jurors were questioned about their knowledge of the case, their ability to remain impartial, and their views on the justice system. After careful screening, a panel was chosen to hear the evidence. With the jury in place, the court prepared for opening statements. The trial would determine whether James Ruthenbush and Rick Shepard would be found guilty of Brittany Forstorm's death or walk free. The trial opened with the prosecution delivering its first statement. They described the sequence of events that led to Brittany Forstorm's death and outlined the evidence they intended to present. Each point was supported by photos, lab results, and documented timelines. Witnesses were called one by one to testify. Forensic specialists explained how samples from the crime scene matched materials found in the suspect's possession. Investigators described how they followed leads that eventually pointed directly to the defendants. The defense countered with their own witnesses and theories. They suggested alternative explanations for the evidence, questioned whether the investigation had overlooked other suspects, and challenged the credibility of certain testimony. Throughout the trial, the jury listened closely to every word. They examined the exhibits provided, reviewed charts, and took notes as both sides built their cases. The judge maintained strict order in the courtroom, ensuring the process followed legal standards. After closing arguments, the jury was instructed on the laws related to the charges. They retired to the deliberation room, carrying all the exhibits and transcripts for review. The process took several hours as they examined the facts presented. When the jury returned, the courtroom fell silent. The foreperson stood and read the verdicts aloud. The decisions reflected the jury's assessment of the evidence and the testimony heard during the trial. With the verdict delivered, the judge scheduled a separate hearing to determine sentencing. The outcome marked the end of the trial phase, bringing the case into its final legal stage. The sentencing hearing was set several weeks after the verdict. On the scheduled day, the courtroom filled once again with legal teams, law enforcement officials, and members of the public. The judge reviewed the pre-sentencing reports prepared by probation officers. The prosecution presented its recommendation for the length and conditions of the sentence. They highlighted the seriousness of the crime, the impact on the victim's family, and the need for accountability under the law. The defense made its final statement on behalf of the convicted individuals. They requested the court to consider certain mitigating factors and asked for a lesser penalty within the legal range. Before announcing the sentence, the judge summarized the key points from both sides. The judge noted the legal guidelines, the nature of the offense, and the evidence that had led to the guilty verdict. The final decision was then read aloud in the courtroom. The sentence included both a prison term and additional legal restrictions, ensuring compliance with the judgment for years to come. Once the hearing concluded, the convicted were escorted from the courtroom by deputies. The official records of the case were updated, marking completion of the judicial process. In the days following, news outlets reported the sentencing details. The coverage provided a full account of the investigation, trial, and final outcome, documenting the case from start to finish. After the sentencing, the attention shifted from the courtroom to community, where the events had unfolded. Residents reflected on the case and how it had changed the way people viewed safety and trust. Local organizations began hosting meetings to discuss crime prevention strategies. These gatherings brought together law enforcement, city officials, and neighborhood leaders to share resources and ideas. Schools in the area also responded by increasing safety programs and offering guidance sessions for students. The goal was to encourage awareness and open communication about suspicious situations. Community centers displayed memorial boards and held public events in memory of the lives lost. People came forward to share stories, offer condolences, and show solidarity. Business owners collaborated to install better lighting, cameras, and security measures in commercial areas. Many viewed these changes as necessary steps to restore a sense of security. Media coverage slowed, but the case remained in local archives and public records. Documentaries, podcasts, and articles preserved the details for future reference. In the long term, the events left a lasting imprint on the community's approach to safety, vigilance, and unity. The case became a reminder of the importance of being prepared and staying alert. Here at Unseen Crime Dossiers, we're driven by a mission to uncover hidden realities, honor forgotten voices, and keep their memories alive. If this story made you pause, reflect, or feel something, there's more coming that will challenge you even deeper. Make sure to hit subscribe, tap the like button, and turn on that notification bell so you never miss a case. We're dropping new episodes regularly, and trust us, what's ahead is even more chilling. Before you go, we want to hear from you. What moment hit you the hardest? Drop it in the comments. Your perspective matters, and your voice helps keep these stories alive. Until next time, stay alert, stay informed, and never stop seeking the truth, because every life deserves to be heard.